morning, evening, lunchtime, wherever you're watching. Welcome to Convo Unscripted, episode 5. 5, and 5 is always a big number. We cannot believe we are here. And we'll tell you who we have. This is a big deal. And but before we get to that point, I'm joined by one and only Street Disciple.
Rastafari, blessed love. Always a pleasure to angwa pa kukwasa pa. We make it unscripted venye inafaa. I hope this one is going to be an amazing one because of the lady that we have on set. Okay, sijini mu introduce someone, if you lot I'm introduce, but itakuwa amazing too sana mtu angwa pa. So make sure I'll go see your dial. Tuende kazi bazengare.
Make sure. So we have Ivy Mogo. Mekata kunipatia jina ingine M-Pesa. The entire thing. So maybe to start, it's probably one of those careers we've literally seen flourish right before our eyes. The last 5 years, I think, have been quite monumental for you. You're an agency, you're a marketer, of course, a brilliant one at that. Then you decided to get into the whole digital aspect, digital platforms, like we are trying to do. So you'll give us some few pointers. And then still within that, you literally just spawned a whole new career and everything else. So is this something you had planned, honestly, or is it something that you're like, I'm here and I'm loving this and this is what happens? And so exactly the last 5 years, if you had to put them in words, how big, how monumental have they been for you, both personally and professionally?
Okay, fantastic. And firstly, thank you for having me and congratulations on your podcast. I do wish you all the best on this journey. Inshallah, you get grants, you get funding, you make money, and you have fun.
Amen.
And you change lives. Okay. Literally, even when I was told that the one and only Patrick Igunza and Philip Waniki wanted to interview you for a podcast, I giggled. I laughed. I'm like, is this my life? But in those moments of giggling, I always remain very grateful. No, it was not planned. I started my career in digital speaking about women and sex online. Yep. And now people ask me, Ivy, I have 100,000 Kenya shillings. Where should I invest it? It's crazy. It is crazy. But that's just the thing about life. I'm really, really valuing the process. I'm really, really valuing the journey. And I think in a few words, crazy, grateful, successful, because as women we don't brag enough about our success. So I'm having a good time. I'm having a good time.
So the craziest thing is you decided to quit your, let me call it your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Literally in the midst of COVID, when everybody else was holding on to the little they had, but you were brave enough to like, you know what, I'm going in. Of course, from what I've read and listened, you saw a vision and you saw it's sustainable and everything else. But were you already fed up with your last job for you to decide, you know what, there's COVID, I don't care, I'm going? Or what vision is this and how exactly did you envision this in your head? And did it work out exactly the way you wanted? Or are there points you're like, maybe this was a bad idea? Yeah.
So the thing people don't really know is I had wanted to quit years ahead. And I had started having conversations with people. There's even once I attended a CEO's breakfast. She's called Esther, the owner of Samchi Telcom. Mm-hmm. She's a billionaire, amazing woman. And I remember at that CEO's breakfast, she said, put yourself on a transition plan. If you want to leave a job, that's okay, but put yourself on a plan, knowing that you will be able to sustain yours and your children's lifestyles, even when you don't have an income coming in. The other that was a good thing I did, but mistakes I made was sharing my vision with the wrong people. And I've said this before. I remember speaking to a particular lady and I told her, I want to quit, and what are you going to do? And I told her I want to do over 25. So I wanted to quit to do over 25, which was a YouTube channel that propelled my career. And she said just that. And you can remember back in the day, you guys were our famous people. You guys were our influencers, the radios and the TV anchors, that type of thing. At that time, people did not see that the digital world was growing into $1 billion industry. So sharing my vision with the wrong people led me to cower a little bit and stick to my employment. But COVID happens and we're sent home March 15th in the morning, actually. So you go check in and you're told go home. And then in the afternoon, I get an email saying, by the way, your salary, half from today. So the person was, the father of my children who I was living with at the time, lost his job. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. Luckily, because of Over 25, I had started working with brands as an individual. So I had started that. So I had seen there was some potential for money. The thing that kicked me into full gear was watching my nanny struggle to do laundry throughout that COVID period. So she could not manage the laundry and she could not manage the children. So I wrote a proposal. I needed a washing machine because what I needed was time. I needed to buy time. People rejected me. A huge multinational finally agreed to it. And that's when I realized, my God, if I can ask for work and get it, why can't I continue on this tangent? So I remember I spoke to my mom. I told her, Mom, I've been talking to you for years, telling you, I think I'm sleeping on something here. Because even then, over 25 had started becoming pretty big. Yeah. My mom said, Shiro, go for it. Just go for it. I was not frustrated at my 9 to 5. I loved my job. I had a fantastic mentor and we had a beautiful exit interview. And she had always supported my side hustle. So she said, Ivy, it's okay. You can leave, do the thing. In fact, I was also suffering a lot of conflict, and a lot of content creators who work in 9 to 5s might suffer the same conflict of interest. I was managing a particular account. It was a tea company, and over 25 had signed to promote another tea competing. I was almost fired even, like how dare you do strategy for us and your face is being seen on competition. So that also helped me realize that if you're not paying me to do strategy and, so let me try and see where this goes. So I took a jump. I have a very, very positive attitude when it comes to life, and I owe that to my dad. May God rest his soul. Everyone says, what if you fall? I always think, what if you fly? So I took the leap.
Amazing. And you've indicated that you saw your nanny struggling to do laundry and take care of the kids. And you've equally indicated that you met this amazing woman at the CEO's breakfast, and she told you that you need to have this plan. I'd like to know how planned you were when it came to actually having the financial muscle and even the time to ensure that your kids don't suffer in the process after you actually quit your job. Because we normally think it's easier until you realize it's end month and that money is not coming in the way it normally comes in. And here I am, and then it's 2 months, it's 3 months. How did you plan yourself out financially and time-wise?
That's a great question. I had an emergency fund. An emergency fund is a place where you put money together in case of emergency. An emergency isn't, Patrick, let's go share here. That's not emergency. Emergency is, for example, in case of loss of a job. The reason I had started nurturing an emergency fund was in my 20s, I was fired from a very well-paying job. And that's when I realized you're not what you earn, but you're what you invest and what you save. So from that time on, I decided, my God, this is not going to happen. So having that savings and also earning half a salary. So moving from, let me be honest, I think I was earning 500,000 shillings at the time to the 250, and my expenses have not changed. We still have to pay rent, we still have to whatever. That was the CEO that told me about the transition plan. COVID had already forced me into a transition plan because I was already working on half a salary. So that's how I did it. And then of course, getting more income through my side hustles, through the little brands here and there that were working with me. So I had an emergency fund. So when people tell me I want to quit, I tell them, if you want to quit, please make sure you have something aside that will still sustain you thereafter. So
what duration do we look at?
Look at 6 months to 12 months. Yeah, if you can have an emergency fund that can sustain your lifestyle for 1 year, it's good. And your lifestyle meaning even the holiday you want to go for, even the nice clothes you want to buy, the sherehe you want to participate in, have at least 12 months put aside. 2 secrets for me that worked: saving in foreign currency. It takes longer to just change it. So you feel like, I don't want to do this now. And automating. So every time my salary would hit my bank account, automatic. Before I see it, it's gone somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, watu wangu hapo standing order na vitu kama hizo, si ndio? Najua pia niko na audience wengine wanashangaa automation tena kuonyesha hiyo design tu wangu hapo flow.
So this brand, you are unproven, but it's quite a major brand. But it also helped launch your career. So what does that do for you at that point? And was it like within, it was still within COVID period?
The brand that hired me.
Yes, okay. When they hired you and then you started doing all this, and you still kept this. That really helped propel your career, and did it help? Were they paying, or it was just do for us. We see first, and then we will see how to do 1, 2, 3 later.
Yeah. In the beginning of any career, for you to get your foot into the door, there's some sacrifices you have to make, and that was money. Yes. So when I got the washing machine, I paid half for it, and I paid the other half in posts. So I literally didn't get any money from that company. But this is a global company, billions of dollars in revenue, contributes to 1/3 of the GDP of the country, you know? So what I looked at was the bigger picture. Having that name on my resume would have done much more for me at the time when I had literally, I think, 50,000 followers, which is still a very good following. Yes. But you see, I've grown much more then. So I put aside the money and invested in building my name hand in hand with their name.
Yes.
It was also their first time hiring a content creator. It was their first time even getting a proposal from a content creator. They had never seen one. I don't know why content creators don't ask for work. We need to ask for work. So they were like, we've never done this. Even my contact point at the time told me a secret. I hope she's going to be okay with me saying this. When we started working together, she didn't even tell her bosses. But because the first video I did was so good, her bosses in South Africa called her and asked her, what's this? What's going on? Okay, let's double down. Let's see how this goes. So yeah, I didn't make any money, but I made a name for myself. I took advantage of having such a fantastic client to show what it is that I can do. Because in this life, you're only as good as the last ad that you produce. So that's what I did.
And here you are, you're saying that you had this fire burning inside your soul, and you told your mom that I think I have something greater inside of me. But then the problem is normally the first step. And most of the young people who are inspired by you don't know how to go about this. So very briefly, if you can just take us again back to that first client and how you jotted down those points and made it into a proposal, and then finally decided, look, this is what I have for you. And then how many times did you have to knock at that door for them to actually let you in?
Very good. I have to mention that I am a good content creator because I worked in marketing for 12 years. So by the time I was leaving my job, I was already very good at marketing strategy. Okay, so that helped me write that proposal. So for a young person watching this, the skills you already have, how will you put that to work? How would you take advantage and put that to work for you? So I had the strategic skills. So that helps me with my content creation. I was rejected by 4 companies. I knocked on 4 doors, and that is very few. I would have knocked on much more. I knocked on 4 doors, and everybody said no, 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 no. And even by the time that door was opened, remember, I had to put in my own money to work with this company and tell them, just trust me, let's do this together. So I knocked on 4 doors. The 5th one is the only one that opened up, and even then there was no money to be made. So use the skills that you have acquired. Don't overthink it. Sometimes your soft skills are enough. Creativity is a soft skill. Critical thinking is a soft skill. So use your soft skills to take you to where it is that you want to go to. Yeah.
Na ulikuwa nakuge reason gani ukinoa kusema cheki niko na hii idea nataka ku work na nyinyi. What are some of the reasons walikuwa nakupatia to do here iwezi ka work at this particular moment?
Who are you? Who was Ivy at the time? Hakuna mtu alikuwa anamjua. I'm sorry. Well, I had no name, I had no reputation. I had never even shown that I can work with a washing machine. Everybody who follows me knows the kitchen, the home, it's not really my thing. It's really not. And the thing, women have been overrepresented in that area. I grew up seeing powerful CEOs take photos in magazines behind the kitchen. And I was like, you don't see men behind in the kitchen really, so what's up with that? So they didn't know who I was, so that was one of the things. I was asking for a washing machine. Please, give me a washing machine. Nataka kufua nguo. And they had not seen, at the time, they had not seen the results of using a content creator or an influencer to sell something like a washing machine. So the people who took me in, because my proposal, I was selling a result. I was selling a strategy. Remember, the proposal was titled, when you buy XX brand, you are not buying a washing machine, you are buying yourself time. And at the time, COVID, watu walikuwa nyumbani, working from home. There was very little time to do everything. You still need to manage the house. You still need to do what it is that you need to do with your job. So they saw the strategic input and then they took it in because it was a differentiated approach. It was not, let a washing machine, let a sabuni in your. It was, give me time. Yeah.
Critical thinking is soft skill, mzee.
And at this point, here you are talking to this, give me this, I want time. And on the other side, you're talking about women and sex.
Yeah.
And for most brands, they'll be like, whoo, you're touching this. We really cannot have you touching this because the brands do 1, 2, 3. Did those two worlds at any one point come to clash, or did they actually complement each other for you?
Can you imagine they complemented each other? Yeah, they did. I cannot minimize what Over 25 did for my brand, but they complement each other because they saw this is a bold woman who is willing to speak her mind and who is authentic. Brands, and because of that, they have grown a community. Brands want to associate themselves with authentic personalities that have grown people, that can get people to rally behind their causes. So it actually worked hand in hand. What the brand wants is this community of women. So they know, Ivy, you have how many women following you? Sawa. I want to tap into that. Doesn't matter what you're talking about. It takes the same amount of effort to think small. So I use that effort to think big. Yeah.
And you now move from an influencer
to
a thinkfluencer.
Come on. I'm so glad people know that. Yes. I've been trying to build that for a long time.
What's the difference between those two?
I think I will tell you what being a thinkfluencer means to me and why I believe I am one. 2 big reasons. I like to think through my content. Granted, once or twice here you'll see me ranting and doing something random, but I like to think through my content. How is this going to impact someone's life? How is this going to look KPI-wise to my brands? How is this going to look to me later? The other thing is my content. A lot of people introspect once they see my content. So now, like yesterday, we were discussing on my page, renting versus owning.
Yes.
There was a lot of discussion around it. Yeah. So I like for people to come to my page, get some value, and then go back, sit, have a meeting with themselves and think, okay, sheesh, is it time to own a home? Is it time to start an emergency fund? Is it time to quit my job? So that's why I call myself a thinkfluencer. Are you thinking through what you're doing? Is it going to age well? I'm still an influencer, award-winning influencer, and it's okay.
Speak on it.
It's okay. But what I've seen sometimes, people get into it for the wrong reasons. So you're chasing the fame as opposed to attracting impact, so what exactly are you influencing? That's the other thing. If you want to come in, what are you influencing? Can your opinion shift events? Can your opinion shift people? So for me, that's what a thinkfluencer is. Also, I like to separate myself. I just like to,
Listening to you, I can tell why I don't think I'll ever be a TED Talk speaker, because there's a way you're putting out words, and I'm thinking, I'll be like, so 1, 2, 3. Like I'll need to have like a whole script to it. But now, in general, you also mentioned the other time, there's how you started it. For me, if I think I've been tracking your career correctly, because I've been following you for a minute, you started the Money Mondays, where you would ask a question, then people would literally, they themselves would volunteer the information. Of course, there was the biggest one for salaries that you shocked the entire country. Like there's somebody loosely just making like 800 G's after taxes or something like that, and somebody just talking about it for, this is what I earn. Unaangalia pale huko na mtu alafu anasema, and I quit. There's somebody who actually was making a lot of money and then they said they had quit or something. That was a brilliant strategy, because you're now creating a niche, but the niche, you're not the one forcing people to your content, you're letting them come to you. Was that a whole thing, or is something you stumbled upon, or something you actually thought through and you're like, I'll start this question, it will start small, but it can only grow?
So being a financial literacy enthusiast for me started with me wanting to understand money for my own intention. I would spend, especially during the COVID period, I used to spend a lot of time on my phone. And it wasn't adding value to my life. Comparing myself to someone who has probably had plastic surgery, looking at makeup, looking at people's cars. So I was just like, I need to talk about money, and I need to find value in in the social media space that I spend a lot of time in. The other thing that informed me starting my career in doing the whole Money Mondays thing was I would follow people like yourselves. And in year 1, you guys are riding a boda to work. But by year 2 there, you're driving a car, you're taking me on a house tour, but you did not take me on the journey that mattered. So I'm just like, how is this happening? I don't know why people don't post those loans. Guys, those cars are on loan, you better know. We're paying a lot of loans out here. People don't post that. Hey,
sometimes we're going to default by the...
Hey, I'm constantly writing, guys, please give me some time to pay back. And those are the things that people don't talk about.
And you even negotiate for moratoriums and everything of that 100%. Sort. Again, especially like during the pandemic.
Yes.
Unapata kuna service loan, kaya kuenda kujitetea jo, lazima kilikuramba. Your design.
At a rent, by the way, we had to negotiate. Please, can you just lower our rent for this period of time? But these are the conversations that people are not having online. So they have this, they're painting this picture of perfection. And we just had a discussion about perfection. And that's not true. It's not real. That's not what's happening. So Money Monday started by me just wanting to understand money. So I spoke to a partner. They're called, I can mention them because they're a long-standing partner. They're called Africa's Pocket. I asked them, can we just talk about money and investments? Philip Patrick, it was my worst performing content. I used to have very good engagement. Money Monday, the first one, nobody cared. Because here I am on a lifestyle platform trying to differentiate myself. I don't talk about hair and nails and makeup. I'm here talking about investments after talking about sex on Monday. Like, okay, Ivy, what are you doing? So I even gave up after 2 weeks. I stopped it. I was like, okay, this is not it. But you see why I gave up? I was chasing the wrong thing. I was chasing people talking to me and not realizing that a few people were having impact. So I see later another content creator going to the same partner talking about money. I was like, aha, so I inspired someone here. So I went back into it. Then I started talking about salaries. The one you're talking about is pay slips, which I did recently. Yes. The first one that ever put me on the map was simple. How much do you make? And guys put out their salaries. Maybe guys lied, I don't know. But I remember I trended. I was on mass media. I was like, aha. So that's when it hit me. People want to talk about money, but in a relatable way. And they want to talk about it. They want to talk about those taboo topics that nobody talks about. So now years later, when I talked about pay slips, it's because I remembered salaries did so well. I repeated a big winner. Think about people who repeat big winners. Think about Mr. Marangi. That's a big winner. Think about Coca-Cola and the Christmas thing. That's a big winner. So for me, it was thought through that nowadays I repeat my big winner. So you'll be seeing a lot of that as well.
Alafu napata umelan, what mistakes do we normally make, financially speaking, or even from a personal finance point of view? Wakenya wengi, what do we have in common? Because people do earn. People do make, but there's a comment you made. You're not what you earn. You're what you invest and what you save. Talk to us about some of the mistakes that you've learned throughout this journey that si waga tuna make sana yenye inatufanya growth inakuwa a little bit difficult.
From my experience with my movers on Money Monday, one of the biggest issues, I don't like saying issues, one of the biggest opportunities for people is to change their money mindset. I have a very open money mindset. I think in abundance. So I walk around thinking, money is my best friend. I have a fantastic relationship with money. Will I make money today? Yes, I will. Will I ask for it? Yes, I will. So a lot of the time, watu wakifikiria hakuna pesa. The economy is hard. There's no work out there. Instead of thinking, I can't afford it. So my mindset is, how can I afford it? The economy is hard. How can I make more money? So that shift in your mindset is so important. That's what really, really helped me move forward. Another mistake I see, especially with women, we are not open. We don't talk about money. It's like it's not our problem. It's not our thing. If you have a partner, let the partner deal with it. It's okay. Or if you have a dad, or I don't know. Women especially don't like having conversations about money. And I'm like, why? And when you are having these conversations, they're not specific. You're having a conversation about money, but you're saying, I'm going to make some money tomorrow. I'm going to save some money for retirement. Say, by the time I'm retiring, I want to have $1 million because this is how much I'm going to be spending per month. I want to have a home in Karen, 50,000 square feet with a pool and trees. We are not specific and we are not open about it. And honestly, I really don't know why. The other thing, Kenyans, especially on social media, tunapenda sana to be spoon-fed. So you don't want to do your own homework and you don't want to do your due diligence. So because Ivy has gone and posted a picture with a bank, you trust the bank immediately, but you yourself, you don't understand your own position and you don't do your own homework. Do your due diligence. let's not be lazy, because a lot of these financial institutions capitalize on our laziness. Think about insurance. You don't want to read through that stuff.
The small prints.
Exactly. Those are the three things I think I can talk about it forever. Even women choosing their partners. Guy, big mistake.
That's the biggest financial decision in life.
And the biggest career decision.
Pole. That one says
okay. But unachagua partner based on emotion. It should be a logical decision. Because it's a business arrangement.
Is it?
You won't eat love.
It's a transaction.
You won't eat love forever.
So you like this dude, but Ketiapa. So should it be you're not making enough, or what's your 5-year plan? Should it be like an interview for where do you see yourself and us in 5 years?
People are not dating. That's what dating is. It is interviewing each other, getting to know each other for the long run.
That's true.
Yeah.
Nataka hiyo part umesema, even choosing your partner in relation to man. Ebu try to make us understand exactly unamaanisha nini.
What are your goals? Sasa mimi kama Ivy says, I have particular goals. Yeah. And I know the timeline I require to get to those goals. So if a partner is not adding value to me achieving those goals, then we're going the wrong way. Me, I always say I liken myself to a speedboat. I'm a speedboat. Yani najua penye naenda. A canoe in Kisumu, in Lake Victoria, at Wendy, we are not going the same pace. We are not going the same place. And it's okay. Love is okay. You know, we really mistake attraction and lust for something bigger. No, you can deal with your things, but stick to your goal. Add value to each other. Be his peace. You be my peace also, boss. I have places I'm going.
Lakini unaweza ukacheki potential kwa ubazenga. Like you can see umsenye yako pale chini. Lakini the way I look at his plan, paka kona inaitangwa aje vision board.
That's good.
Anakwambia nyewe cheki mimi nimesave 20k lakini nina target so mbili vitu kama hizo. Does that make sense? Because we are all at different levels. We have to agree, right?
I agree. We are at different levels. If you follow Money Monday, before I go back to what it is you said, a lot of women say, even men actually, it was men who said date within your socio-economic circle. So kama you're making 20k and then you want to date a girl who's making $1 million, be very sure Apo. You might have a lot of
mimi naweza nikajituma hiyo aspiration.
Utajituma, but majority of the time I want her with $1 million, but then when we get married now I want her to be a housewife.
Sasa hiyo ni ufala unaingia, lakini unaweza kuwa inspired by that, as in sinile ku think big.
It's very good. Yeah, I love it.
Sinile ku think
big by the way.
No aspiration. Mimi nachekia hivi leo nasema huyo hivi ndio sasa mimi.
Think big tulikuwa class 2. That guy was just lying anyway. It's Ben Carson. He was exposed to be a fraud anyway in his own.
But Patrick amesema something very important here. You can see the potential in someone. Don't confuse potential for progress. Yeah. You can have potential, like you're just sitting there in your living room.
Your design.
Couch potato. So you have great potential, but you're not progressing. You're not moving. So on a vision board, but you just sit and look at it. You're not actually working towards it. You have to work towards it. You have to start living and breathing the habits of the people you want to be like. So if you want to make that $1 million bob, but you wake up late, you're constantly partying, you don't have, you're not, let's say, tracking your expenses or budgeting for, you have to understand the habits of successful people and start living and breathing those habits. Otherwise, you will stay with all your potential and you'll go nowhere.
Okay. Here's a question. Ivy, right now, you want, say, $1 million in 5 years, whatever. Yeah. So you definitely have a type, say, for dudes. So you see this guy you like, and then you realize he's earning less than you and everything else. At what point would you be like, no? Would you date somebody who is earning less than you right now?
Tuseme mtu kama mimi.
Like, would it be, how much money do you make? Nicola 50k job hapa.
Here's the thing I've come to understand about money.
Yeah.
My very good friend Amos Nga, who we always have this conversation. Money has seasons.
Yeah. Yes.
Money has seasons. And I lived through also such a season when I was a child. I was privileged to be mentored by my dad, who was the managing director of Uchumi Supermarkets years ago. So I grew up around money. When he left his job, our money season completely shifted from here to here. So would I date someone earning less than me? Yes. Would I date someone earning less than me, but they don't fathom the season they're in and they don't plan to be in a better season, no. Yeah, you have to be self-aware. This is a bad season, and I have to see a track record. If your track record is low, please, numbers don't lie. You're a walking problem. I don't want that. I'm not about to fund your life, man.
Hiyo ni powerful. Ganji kuna seasons. Kuna some nika mvua hiyo inakamiki ikienda. But then again, the thing is to know, where am I at? Where have I come from? Where am I headed? All right? You've spoken about growing up around money. Chaluli yako ilikuwaje? Chuo ulienda wapi kwanza? Vitu kama hizo. And then your dad being your mentor. Alinstill hizi zote ndani yako ama alikuwa anakuspoil tu?
No. So my dad didn't spoil us. He had the potential to take us everywhere, do everything, but he didn't necessarily spoil us. School, just up at Riara. Again, I said potential, but he kept us humble. I went to USAU University. Every time I say that, people, especially men, look at me in a certain way, because I'm like, what happens with USAU? Like, USAU is a fantastic university. It taught me presentation skills like I never had before. It was fantastic. So what I saw my dad, there's this thing, we lived frugally. People confuse living frugally with being a miser.
Unacheza.
Come on. That's my guy. Yeah, so he wasn't a miser, but he prioritized certain aspects of our lives. Travel was one of my dad's priorities, so he really exposed us a lot. No. My dad he traveled with his wife all over the world, but with us, he made sure we saw Kenya. And I love that. I love that so much. So he broadened also my mind and my thinking. Soft skills. You could never go to my dad, tell him, Dad, please buy me this. And he says yes. He'll tell you, did you negotiate? Atakani supermarket. You may negotiate. If not, go back. Even ice cream, 50 bob. Dad, please buy me this ice cream. Have you negotiated? So that soft skill, I take it to date. I negotiate everything, even in a supermarket.
Hadi ukipewa bure unasema inaweza kuwa bure
kabisa. No. Ikiwa bure nauliza, what do you want in return? Is it really free? What exactly do you want, and how can we deal with that? So that's what my dad prioritized, and I'm grateful for that. He didn't spoil us. He did a little bit. Of course. A little bit. But he focused on our soft skills and our exposure. Yeah, and he allowed us to sit at tables. Akiwana meeting, used to have a lot of these meetings at home with these big people. So he allowed us to sit there and listen to this. When you hear people talking about millions, when you're that young, it sets your mind up it prepares you for the future. Yeah.
Nadaro ulikuwa student unakaje? Were you top 3, top 5, top 10, average? Ama pia ulikuwa gonna lead from behind? I mean, we can never be ashamed of our past, right?
No, I was a good student. Teacher's pet. And then I loved drama. That's why I love the stage now. I loved acting, I loved singing, I loved drama. But I was a fantastic student. I used to know how to play politics. So I had teachers who, every time the teacher would walk into class, I'm the one who'd read. So, yeah.
I've mentioned tena again story ya dad na venye aliwafanya mkatambo wa Kenya kuwa expose na tagging you along in his meetings and everything. What are some of the other childhood memories that you do have that zimekuteach na some that zimemake you appreciate life in totality?
In our travels, and we actually participated in a rally. Let me think.
Mlikuwa mnaenda showground?
Yeah. So I went to one. But it's not something it's not something that I hold on to as a memory. Every night, from the moment I remember, we used to set the table and eat together on a circular table. And it doesn't matter if you were mad at each other during the day. It doesn't matter if you fought 5 minutes before. It doesn't matter. You sit at that dinner table and you eat together. And in hindsight, my siblings and I are so close. And I think that really helped. And after dinner is done, clear the table, clean the table up, wash the dishes. That sense of family was instilled in me very, very early. So right now, I'm very honored to say that some of my best friends are my siblings. And when I hear family saying, I'm not even friends with my brother or my sister, man, it hurts me. Yeah, so I love that memory. For me is here. Christmas was very big for us. the day before Christmas Day itself, and the day after Christmas. Presents, I think, is what I remember really doing. My dad would fake, and my mom as well would fake that presents that they've received from the are our presents, and they would allow us to open them. And that excitement, and say, that's your radio, don't worry, that's yours. It's taught me as a mother now just a sense of patience that I exercise with my children. And they're like, Mama, can I have your perfume? Can I spray some? I'm like, imagine it's easy. Isn't it a dunia? It's okay, take whatever, it's fine. So I remember Christmas being very big as well. Homework. I remember doing homework. Mom, I love you, Mom, but Mom was a little bit more impatient. So I never used to like doing homework with Mom. I remember doing homework with Dad, but what I remember was Dad always encouraged out-of-the-box thinking. I think I'm talking about my dad a lot because I lost him recently, so maybe that's why I'm referring to him a lot, so you guys will forgive me, and I promise I won't cry on set. So he really also fostered out-of-the-box thinking, which is what you guys can see nowadays. I always say, when people are going this way, may I go this way? The money season was a big memory, because that's when I realized, shit, money isn't everything. Because luckily, at least we had that sense of togetherness, so that was really, really good. And my mom and dad used to laugh a lot when we were growing up. My dad used to make my mom laugh. So even right now, I know, if you don't make me laugh, although I'm the funny one in most instances, I'm very funny, haha, guys. So they grew up with a love and respect for each other that was pretty solid, and yeah.
And now, for you now, you grew up in two-parent home.
Yeah.
And now you're a mother and you're not in a two-parent. Your children are, how now do you make sure your kids still grow up with, of course they have a father and everything else, but you still give them the same experience that you grew up with? And first of all, what kind of a mother are you to your kids that you can say you pick from this? Is there a point where you're like, yeah, I need to work more on this? But in general, like in terms of raising your kids versus how you are raised, there are, of course, there are differences that sometimes it's something you cannot change, or you could not help bring it together or make it better. But now it's a new reality. Yeah.
What kind of mom am I? I'm a fun mom. Oh, I love playtime. Sometimes even when we're watching one of their favorite movies or whatever, I push them out of the way and I sing and dance more than them. Like, we always sing and dancing in that house. What kind of mother am I? I push for extracurricular activities quite a bit. So and I raise my children based on equity, not equality. And I learned this recently, because the thing with twins, the comparison isn't in the home, it's outside the home. So I have to build equity. So if you have a child, instead of saying, go swim together, together, if one child doesn't like swimming, I'm like, it's okay. What do you like? And that goes there. So one baby loves music, so they're doing piano. My 6-year-old can outplay very many people in piano, and I'm very proud of her. The other girl loves art. So she has an art teacher who comes to teach her coloring, and like, even color psychology, should be able to understand color psychology in a few years. So I'm very big on extracurricular, broadening yourself outside of, because my kids go to CBC, and I'm sorry, but the CBC system is it's almost also indoctrination. The other day, my baby was like, "Hi, Mama, how are you?" She said, "I'm blessed and highly favored." I was like, "Where did you learn that?" "School." I'm like, "Sheesh, do you know what that means?" I'm like, "You CBC people." My 6-year-old, "I'm blessed and highly favored." I'm like, but she doesn't, it's okay. How would I give them the same experience? There's no way I'll ever give them the same experience, because it is what it is. Luckily, we have a very good formal parental agreement with the father. So he knows what he needs to do, and I know what I need to do. If the only thing I say I would give more to my children is time. But as a single mom, the time I have to make the money to make sure I can take them to school. Patrick, do you know that to raise a child properly from infancy to university, you need minimum 25 million Kenyan shillings?
I didn't know that, but I'm going through that.
Yeah. So you need 50, Mike.
I need to work.
So I need 75 million.
Plus taxes.
That's the new reality.
And also count inflation.
Me, I need 75 million. Crazy.
It's crazy. So when you put those numbers in perspective, and then you tell me I date potential, you get. Yes, no, but
that one lands very well.
So what I manage when it comes to that time is when I have even 10 minutes with them, put the phone aside, dedicate it, and play. Children tell you everything through play. Ataleta doli akwambie vile mwalimu alimwambia nini, and it's just through play. And the other thing is, I have meetings with my children. Mama, how can I be a better mom to you? What do you like us doing together? What do you want to do? And she says, oh, I like it when we travel. I also really travel with my kids quite a bit when I can, local, because that's the one I can afford with them. So that's I think that's the type of mom I am. The type of mom I am is very vulnerable. I realize that I make a lot of mistakes, and motherhood is hard. When other people say I don't want children, I clap. I'm like, unajijua, and it's okay.
Yes,
it's okay. Kujijua is okay. So that's the type of mother I am, and I'm not going to try and give them the same experience. Yeah. I can give them a better experience even as a single mom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
alafu,
sorry.
Yeah. Alafu umesema watu hiyo wanaenda CBC. Wasoda chikiuni just hivi wana expect watu hiyo waende chuo posh na vitu kaa hizo. Is it by design or by default that wanaenda CBC, and what's your take kwa matters ya education when it comes to our children?
Yeah. Authenticity is my biggest thing. CBC is what I can afford now, while I plan to make sure that things like uni, they don't do it here. So the foundation I'm building, I'm living frugally. I'm prioritizing to say, this is what I can do now. And here's the thing with parents. We think foundation starts in school. It starts in the home. So in the home, I speak to them a certain way and expect them to speak back a certain way. Remember, wanafanya music, wanafanya art, and we are traveling. So I'm also building a separate foundation that the CBC system would not necessarily give them. CBC system is not bad. Find a good school. Do your homework. The system is, but if you find a good school with good teachers and work hand in hand with the teachers to make sure the education is good, it's fine. I've had the privilege of experiencing a young child who has gone through the other system. Yes. I won't lie, it's brilliant. They do have another way of thinking. And it's funny because sometimes my children made me laugh the other day. We were in the mall and they saw a Chinese lady. Mom, let the Chinese lady pass. So sometimes I think, I wish I took them to schools where they hang out with these Chinese and these white people, so they don't think it's so there's certain advantages in each system. Yeah. But I have my goals. For me to make sure I have that 50 million by the time that I'm not going to spend that much right now, but all I'll do is I'll spend time on the foundation in their home. Yeah.
Your design. Yeah. My first boss is like from 2, right?
Cool.
Yeah, and I planned for the school that he attends when I was in secondary school.
Yeah.
Because one of the classmates, in fact, the brightest boy we had in class 8, attended this school that my son currently attends. And there's a time I was in Form 1, and he happened to swing by our place. And I was in this school in Kibra, where we were still writing answers on foolscaps and book sheets. And they were all handwritten. Then Mugo comes and he has a file and you got my paper za exam zimetaipiwa, wamejibu na computer na vitu kama hizo. And I was like, this was my classmate. I could uniform safi wanadropiwa nini na vitu kama hizo, ananionyesha picha zilikuwa kwa hiyo file, walikuwa wameenda extracurricular activities and everything. And that day I said, my son or my girl will go to this school. It came to pass. You get saying that?
Oh, you must feel so good, man.
I do feel good. And then it's what you said. Like once you visualize and you speak breath into it and you start working towards it. Sometimes you might find hurdles, you might find impediments, but inakam kupass if we don't move the eye off the goals. But then again, kulikuwa na challenge pia unapata. When they were in primary school, I had to move them from, yes, a private school that was still doing 844, private, but doing 844, to now a Kanjo school, a proper Kanjo school. Now, what is that? People are aspiring to move from Kanjo school to this.
Exactly.
But once you interact with an education center, you will understand whether what is happening actually is adding value to your child's school. I mean, you're doing it to fulfill societal's needs and expectations of that.
Exactly.
And so I believe as a parent, when you are able to be very, very open-minded and equally realistic, we are able to make decisions that not only favor ourselves and the children, but also help us be in a position to sustain that which we want and wish for them.
Sustenance. That's it. There's this thing that Warren Buffett says, only when the tide recedes would you know who was swimming without shorts on.
Yeah.
And he talks, it's about the stock market, but I use it in life. Because we're very quick to compare. For example, the few people who can afford hizi shule poa kama hawa, good for them. I realized when I interacted with these schools, a lot of these people are expats. So their fees is paid for them. So I said, let me not compare this is not my journey. How can I sustain the journey that I want? So I love that you've mentioned sustenance. That's my thing.
And
sustenance.
And if you talk to them, sometimes they'll tell you the reality that we face on this other side, equally people in this other side do face as well. Sometimes you have to go to school and negotiate. Yo. Sitaweza.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's true. I was speaking to another lady, a very prominent lady the other time. Alikuwa ananiambia kuna balance ya 2 million. 2 million. Anaenda kujitetea hivi kwa administration na hata wewe uko poa. Unaona ule ni 7. Ndio kuna watoto watatu unapata.
Exactly.
So people, this pressure to sipewe hii pressure.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What? Sheesh, which phone? Sorry. Sorry. Oh my days.
Ayo unajua iko time zone tofauti.
Iko sasa ndio stock exchange
Pesa phone.
So that actually got really deep and it really nice. Sustenance and everything else. Actually, it's actually going better than I expected. I'll be very honest.
I'm loving this.
At one point,
you should.
We have just idea. So the other thing is that what we've talked about with social already from beginning and everything else. People have always acted for the society. For people who don't actually care or notice. But that's what you do everything. But now it's even worse with social media. So here you are trying to tell people, let's save, let's do this. And then every other day, if I'm a 21, 22, 25-year-old, I'm just seeing these 24-year-olds, millionaires driving Audis, Range Rovers and everything else. And exactly, they keep saying it's Forex. We all know it's not. Is it
what
not?
Is it?
So, wash. Plain and simple. Majority of those things right now where you have this too much pressure. And it's even affecting people like me. I mean, I'm 40 next year. And sometimes you look at it and you're like, did I go wrong? Because yes, there is one thing about knowing I'm the same age as LeBron James and Mark Zuckerberg. But they are way there. But I'm being realistic with myself for I did not have at any one point the kind of opportunities they had. And even if I wanted to start Facebook from Kenya, nobody was there because all these billionaires in Kenya want to build malls when you're all malled out. Yeah. Nobody wants to come out and say, here's money, let's do this, let me fund this. Yeah. So when you look at it these days, when you're trying to tell people, please save and everything else, and everybody else is looking at you for, why should I save? This person I was with in class 5 right now lives in Karen as a BCD. So to them, they're seeing the end product, but they're not seeing the real reason why that person is there. It's not hard work. It's nothing like that. So how do you deal with that? Especially, I saw you mentoring, especially very young girls the other day. So how are you realistic with them when everybody says, don't date a poor dude or date this kind of a person and everything else, mubabas and everything else. And I agree the kind of pressure that you get there. There's the legit ones, let's be very honest. But majority, they're just faking it. So how do you deal with that?
Again, I'm very truthful also to my own journey. I used to be that same person again who would look at these people on social media and want their lives without emulating the process that helped them get there. And then it was literally very recently that I realized I was doing the wrong thing. I was investing too much time and effort in trying to chase the bag and make the money that I was forgetting to invest in myself. Mm-hmm. So even from a very early age, I really tell my movers who are very young, investing in yourself pays the highest interest. And investing in yourself does not have to be expensive. Pick up a book, listen to a free podcast, exercise, eat some good food, drink your water, put on your sunscreen. Because people buy you before they buy the product that you're going to sell. They buy you fast. You guys are looking very good here. You're looking well put together. So even before coming to this podcast, I did research on you guys. So I bought you guys fast before whatever this podcast was supposed to be in. So by the time you've invested in yourself, your financial literacy, you understand how money is going to work, you understand how these things go. You will put a tishwa by someone driving a car.
Yes.
You won't, because you'll know at 20, what's happening? What are you going? You're paying a loan of 7 million to buy that car. You be patient in that investment that you're making yourself. And that's the thing about investing. Investing isn't like this. It doesn't.
Instant.
It's
not
not
microwave.
That immediate gratification will not happen. But by the time you invest in yourself, that means you'll also have understood self-awareness. And self-awareness is built by self-reflection. It's built by feedback. Because when me, a long time ago in my career, I had no self-awareness. I was a horrible boss, but because I had no self-awareness, you see, wrong investment. So I'm not going to tell people trust the process. Yesterday I asked people on my stories, what advice do you hate? People hate being told trust the process. I'm not going to tell people trust the process. Sometimes the process, as you've said, is hard. The process of someone who was born in Kibera is very different from the process of me who was born in, So what I can do though is tell you, invest in yourself. Invest time, effort, the little money you have, invest it in yourself. Gain fungible skills. Learn how to speak. Learn how to listen. Listening is such an underrated skill. You're listening, you're nodding, but you're thinking about the microwave or the iron.
Listening is a fine art.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So once you invest in yourself, things will flow. Things will flow. And then on social media, someone said the other day, she's called Monica, she's a fantastic woman. She says, clean your feet at a mat, clean your feet on social media. If you're constantly looking at a page and you find yourself feeling low because you're comparing, unfollow. You don't need it. Unfollow. Get out of that space and then now follow people who add value to your life. Yeah.
Your design. And then as I want to relate this to what you said earlier, that the money has seasons.
Yeah.
Do you also believe that each and every individual has their own timeline? In that just because Monique is clocking 40 this year or next year, and he's already at this level in his life, I must also do as Monique is, like as I clock 40, I should be there. Or is there a possibility that I might not have graduated at 21, but I still graduated 40.
Yeah.
I might not have become a CEO, let's say at age 35. Maybe I can become at 18 and quit when I am 24 and stuff like that.
100%. I think you answered your own question,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I do believe that. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with getting an e-mentor, like seeing Monique's journey or seeing Patrick's journey and saying, I want that. The problem comes in where you want the end result without asking Philip, how did you get there?
Yeah.
So it's okay. Yes, you have your own journey, but it's good. In fact, find people that you want to be like. Don't live in a silo. But stop wanting the Range Rover without wanting the blood, sweat, and tears that these people have gone through. Yeah.
Your design.
Nice. So on things like growing up, for you talked about getting a job that you loved but broke you internally and everything else. And what does that do for you, and how would you, there's that letter to my younger self you did. What are some of the things, maybe like 3 pointers you would say, if you're talking to a 25-year-old, your 25-year-old self, but of course there's a 25-year-old following you and everything else. What are some of the things you would literally advise them maybe to do or not to do?
At work with their career or?
Yes, a career, life in general, like maybe for you talking to your 25-year-old self. Yeah.
Okay, that job that broke me. We ignore our gut instincts a lot, and I don't know why. You always have this sense that something is wrong, and sometimes it even manifests in illness, in sickness, etc. So I would tell her, just trust your gut a bit better and start looking for another job earlier. It won't get better, because I was in a position where I really tried to make it better, but the gut was just refusing. I was physically sick at that job. So maybe trust your gut a bit better. Again, invest in those fungible skills. So instead of constantly crying and complaining, do something about it. Pick up a free course, go to Google certificates, just pick up a free course and spend more time in gaining more value and amping your resume. You're the only one who can amp your resume. And in that saying also, I always tell people, even while you're in employment, you have to act like you're self-employed. If you lack the discipline to go to the office at a certain time when you're asked to go, to dress in the code that you're told to dress in, to give a report at a certain time, I promise you, out here, you will suffer.
Yeah.
Because some of the things I miss about employment is being told what to do, when to do it, where to go. Yeah. And sometimes I don't even work Thursday, Friday, but you still get your salary. Yeah. Out here, literally, if you don't work, you don't eat. Yeah. So you have to cultivate that discipline. Use your employer to train you for free. Yeah. Go to that employer and say, I want to do this course, I want to travel here. Use that employer to train you for free. So that when you come out into society, you're better. Those are things I tell Ivy. I'm like, let this employer train you for free. Yeah.
And so, in general, if you are to talk about money and you, what's your relationship with money yourself?
Yeah.
Right now?
Oh, it's sexy, man.
It's sexy.
I have a very sexy relationship with money. Only now because I'm financially literate.
Yeah, I would say,
only now because I'm financially literate. Yeah. Before that, I had no idea what I was doing. I was a hoarder. I used to have savings in the bank, and I would peep just to make sure it's there. Okay, phew. Not knowing it's earning 1%, 2%, it's doing nothing for you. Yeah. But now, my relationship with money is very, very sexy. And sometimes we also fight, we tussle. But at the end of the day, we are good.
Do you have money habits that you still find hard to drop?
Yeah.
Which ones?
My love language to myself is gifts. So I like to invest in certain things for myself. So that one is a bit difficult. But how I manage that, Monique, if you told me today, stop eating out, stop do what, imagine I wouldn't listen to you. Me, I'm like, how do I make more money?
Yes.
The habit is spending on myself, which is not even a bad thing, is it?
That is true. And the kind of people now you hang out with, people who are calling you your phone and everything else, are maybe people you probably would, sometimes you don't believe, like, this person actually knows me. And so there are people who are very successful. They are literally living the kind of life you would want to live. Do you have the pressure to try and act like that life? Like, you want to, I mean, you're parking your car, which is a good car, but the car's next to your car. Maybe I need to buy a bigger car so that when I come here, my presence talks to me before everything else. Do you get those pressures because of the kind of circles that
definitely. Oh, definitely. But this is what I've realized about the circles that I have built for myself, because that's the thing, you have to build them for yourself. They make so much more money. Like, they're so far off for me. In fact, one of my mentors told me, I've never budgeted in my life. I've never saved a coin. All I do is make. Like, what do you mean? And then he's like, so you tell me I make £1 million. He speaks in pounds. So I make £1 million today. I'm supposed to keep £50,000 for what? And then in your mind, they're trying to calculate what's £1 million. So they're so much more successful that by the time I say, man, I can't afford this, they're so okay with it. They take you with them willingly. The pressure comes. Willingly. The pressure comes when you hang out with people who are exorbitant and you don't see the value or the impact or the whatever. Or you're exorbitant, but it's a fake lifestyle.
Yes.
So the people I surround myself with, their lifestyle is real. Like, I'm very privileged.
When they go up, they take you along with them. It's a slipstream. Like F1 circles where you're behind
them. They only
them.
take you along if you're doing well.
Yes, of course. You also have to show value.
The thing I've realized also with my mentors, they move so quickly. They will tell you, Ivy, let's have a meeting tomorrow, Sunday. You go have the meeting. They'll tell you, okay, write this thing, ta-ta-ta. You don't do it, they move on. Successful people move on so quickly. Like, do you know how many people they could be mentoring? So if they tell you, come meet me, you meet, and they give you work, do it to your best ability. Otherwise, they will forget about you and move. Yeah.
Apart from that, what other attributes do they look out for in someone they're trying to bring closer? Because I think they see potential in you. Nice. That's why they allow you in. But how do you ensure that they don't cut you off? Apart from maybe those things, punctuality and maybe being a hands-on person.
Curiosity. Someone who's hungry and curious to do better. As we had said, critical thinking. So someone who, and visionaries. So for example, me, I'm in the digital space. I know, for example, my shelf life as a content creator is not very long. Yes. But what am I thinking about? Where would I be 10 years from now? One of my mentors told me, Ivy, give me a plan between now and by the time you're 50. I've never been told that. But I sat down. So these are visionaries and they want you to go in the same direction. Did I say share the same value system?
Not sure.
Share the same value system. The time I introduced a particular individual to one of my mentors and it just went wrong. I was so embarrassed. Partied, they did the wrong thing. I was just like, sheesh, man, it was so embarrassing. So how do you share the same value system? I think those are the things for me that I can say that my mentors have recognized in me.
How about being real?
Like, authenticity, 100%.
Yeah.
You have to be authentic. You have to be authentic and true to yourself. Otherwise, what are you doing? Yeah, and you have to stay learning. You have to stay learning. A year from now, my mentor, I have to present a new skill to them. I have to show that I'm constantly evolving because that's what the world is doing. And these are people who are changing the world. They see things now that you will not be able to fathom. So are you constantly evolving as well? Yeah.
Amazing. And the thing that propelled you into the digital space of a 25, it was a group of ladies who came together. And it's like a partnership in business. It's not an easy thing.
Definitely not.
I remember in business education, we used to be told the advantages of sole proprietorship and partnership. Yeah. And how would you advise individuals like those? They're together, they have this idea, they want to work together, yet they're women or they are men.
Yeah.
How do they go about it?
Okay, very good question. The first thing I always tell people is it's not a must. The next milestone in your friendship does not have to be that you're starting a business together. Sometimes you could just be good friends. Doesn't mean you're going to be good business partners. So one thing, it's not a must. Two, if you do decide that this is how you're going to go, interview your business partner the way you would interview any other business partner. Do your due diligence on your friendships. See how this person moves at work, even how they move at life. You'll be very quick to realize someone who does not even know how to manage 1,000 shillings. It's not someone that you should be starting a business with because how will they manage 1,000,000 shillings? Do that. The third thing I would say, formalize these agreements. Talk to a lawyer. Sign a contract with each other. Sign a partnership agreement. Put money on the table so that both of you can put the effort. Have roles and assignments. If you even get a board that's going to be able to manage, formalize this agreement. Not run a kitchen. A business is not like but there's some kitchens that are businesses, sorry. But you get what I mean. See, it's not a marketplace, but marketplaces are businesses. But formalize your business. It's not a joke. It's not cute. As soon as you register that business, Philip, Ivy, Patrick, you start paying taxes. Already KRA, whether you've made money or not, you're liable to KRA, So formalize these things and then feedback with each other regularly. Meet with each other regularly. Have a strategic guide for what it is that you want the business to do. But go back to number one. It's not a must.
Are these things that you learned after you wrapped up your over 25, or these are things you knew even before you entered into that partnership with your former people?
We learned during. We went slowly because we had no idea that putting a camera in front of us and talking about life would make us money. Yeah. We had no clue. So when we got our first job, we're like, is this happening? We even paid through M-Pesa with one of our individual phones. Then we said, what? Register the business, sawa. We kept getting jobs. We're like, okay. We have contention in terms of how the business would run. Okay, agreement. Lawsuit. We need a lawyer. So it's things we learned as we go. And that's the beautiful thing about life. Especially like a business that you've never really tackled. You will learn as you go. And here's the thing. If you're starting and it's perfect, maybe you started too late. Allow yourself to learn. And the thing about also allowing yourself to learn is you have to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you'll make in that business. If you don't have a good conflict resolution strategy with your partners, things might not really go very well. You have to forgive yourself regularly. Yeah.
What's your parting shot? Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Hey, this went deep fast. I think we'll definitely have you soon, like literally by episode 11.
I'd love to moderate your live session. I'm applying to be your MC. I would love to moderate your live session. I think this is the most fun on an interview I've had this year.
Nice.
So
thank you so much.
Happy.
So there are also some things, like you mentioned some things and you mentioned it in passing, but there are things as you grow up, you have to take up as an individual, not even to do with money and everything. Things like exercising, sleeping. It can be
applying sunscreen.
Apply your sunscreen.
Applying sunscreen. and I know like you've started physically fit with, can I call her Mrs. BN?
No, you call her Chiki Kuruka. Yeah, she's a powerful woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with Chiki, and I think you've done what, 3?
No, 1. And it was an experiment. So we're doing our next one on the 29th of July.
Oh, I saw that, so I thought like there are different ones. And so what is that about, and how big is exercising? Could be mostly to women and also to men. Yeah. You don't have to look, it's not about a certain body type.
No.
Just about being fit. So you can maybe talk about that.
Weight. It's about
just
moving your body regularly. Yeah. So I used to have a hard time keeping up with a gym routine. And I'd actually approached Chiki 3 years ago when she started her dance studios. Like, hi, can we dance? But she at the time, she was very far from where I was. So I was looking for something fun when it comes to workout. Chiki was looking for a fun way to discuss also money and better women's lives. So in one of our dance sessions together, because she is my dance coach, we're like, Ivy, Chiki, why can't we start this thing together? So Fiscally Fit was born. Fiscal because of the financial side, and then fit because of the fitness side. It's a women's only program where we come in and we want to cover 360 wellness and a 360 degree approach to wealth. So wealth in terms of your networking, wealth in terms of your finances, wealth in terms of your health, and wealth in terms of your time. Nice. So it's a nice, beautiful 360 approach for wellness for women. This next one, I'm very privileged to even have, we're going to have Washeke Duati to come in and talk about mistakes that women make with money. And we also just signed a beautiful partnership with Nairobi Women's Hospital. Nice. So Chiki and I laughed the other day. I'm actually going to have lunch with her today. We laughed and said, is this thing going to make us rich? Like a joke. And they were like, yeah, maybe. Because we're like, there's no female faces when it comes to wellness, fitness, and finances. So that's what we want to build with Fiscally Fit.
And from the videos, y'all can dance.
It's not even about that. It's about feeling feminine and sexy and moving your body.
But you still, y'all can dance. So
thank you.
So punctuating all that with money talk.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So are we going to see that in a sustainable way, like more of those episodes being uploaded? The reason why I'm asking that is because there's a lady who overheard a discussion about this particular interview, and she said, I want you to go ask Ivy whether we are going to see her back again doing something like over 25, because she said they missed that. So I want you to address that lady so that she doesn't say that I did not ask that, okay? And she said, just tell her to tell me, if not to tell everyone else, like what happened. Just like that. Yeah.
Okay. Will I go back? Women don't go back in lifestyle. We don't. We only move forward. So whatever finds me ahead is what I'm going to take up. If that means my partners from over 25 find me where I am, and we decide to take stuff up back again, maybe we'll do it, but we don't go back, okay? What happened? We needed to see how things go for ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. And it was an agreement.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all friends anyway.
A long time ago, way before anybody knew. Like we had agreed a while back, so it was an amicable agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which means people are still good. Do you see each other? Do you hang out again?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Your answers there.
There you go.
All right.
And with that, thank you very much. We are physically fit. I'm still that, but
nice.
there's still physically
job.
fit now.
Yeah.
And thank you very much, Ivy. It's literally better than I expected. I knew it would be good. I will say personally, my wife was very excited when I told her I'm meeting with you and everything else. And she was like, yeah, because actually she's the one who introduced me to you and everything else. And whenever I mention something, she's always like, yeah, she's even doing it. Hey, Sawa, you're keeping up to that. Yeah. But it's that whole aspect of also trying to look at people who are doing well somewhere, and you want to kind of help, and you're a brilliant person at that. So keep at it. Just Ivy, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow her on all her platforms. And when this show is out, you'll also be fiscal fit. Trust me.
It's your design. I tell Sana, bless up Rastafari. Remember, water for cleansing, fire for purification. Alright? Sitakwambia meditation unaipataje mtu wangu wa power. Each one, teach one. Jobless.
It's hard to come after that one now. Bye.